Formation rejoins are used anytime your flight comes together. There are two ways you can use to rejoin a formation. There's a straight ahead rejoin and there is a turning rejoin. You can practice rejoins with a friend by practicing what we call pitchouts. A pitchout is where the pilots break off in sequence away from the formation in a 180-degree level turn. The timing between the breaks determines the initial spacing between each aircraft involved in the pitchout. For a straight ahead rejoin, this is one you want to use if a turning rejoin isn't possible due to things such as terrain or the weather. In a straight ahead rejoin, number 1 will maintain stable flight and monitor number 2, while number 2 will approach from the side that's directed by number 1, and then he'll control closure and arrive in position for whatever formation they're trying to rejoin into. So here we're going to do a pitch out followed by a straight ahead rejoin. For a pitch out, everyone's going to be in the opposite side of the intended brake direction. So as the leader brakes to the right, we count 1, 2, brake. And this brake timing will help create the amount of spacing you want. You can also adjust it further as we come around the turn by using pursuit curves. But the end goal of a pitch out is for everyone in the formation to finish in trail of each other. Now a straight ahead rejoin relies primarily on airspeed closure, so I'm going to increase the power. We're going to skip forward in time a little bit. Now since it relies on airspeed difference, we need to know what number 1 is doing, so he should communicate that. And right now he's doing 265 miles per hour and I'm doing 280, so there's about 15 miles per hour closure in between us. So the faster your closure is, the harder it's going to be to do a successful rejoin, because it's going to be harder to judge when to start reducing that power and slowing down. So the principle of any rejoin is to approach in a stabilized condition, which means that we're approaching the formation with the closure under control. As we start getting closer, we can see those fingertip references start becoming apparent. So we close in on that 30-degree bearing line, adjust our power to control the closure to near 0, and now we're in position in fingertip. You'll use a turning rejoin to expedite bringing the flight together, such as after an interval takeoff or a dogfight. Turning rejoins will require you to manage airspeed and aspect, and during a turning rejoin, number 1 will maintain a stable level turn while monitoring number 2, and number 2 will fly a lead pursuit inside of number 1's turn, establish the vertical separation and closure, and manage aspect using the bank angle. Now I'm on the right hand side and fingertip, so this will be a pitch out to the left. Now 1 does his brake, I do mine. Then we'll finish out in trail and we're going to do a turning rejoin. Now in a turning rejoin, you're going to rejoin on the inside of number 1, unless he directs you to join on the outside. So number 1 tells me he's going to be making a left turn and to rejoin on the inside. So I make a left turn and I'm going to be pulling lead pursuit on number 1. And in addition to the airspeed closure I've got, I'm also going to generate more closure due to our aspect difference. So during the rejoin process, we're going to try and keep number 1 slightly above the horizon, and this will end up putting him in the lower front portion of your windscreen. If number 1 is too high on the horizon, that means you're climbing up to meet him instead of being in a level turn. So as we're approaching closer to number 1, we want to try and rejoin along that extended 30-degree bearing line. This will allow you to keep the aspect of number 1 constant. So if you're keeping the aspect constant, then all you have to do is adjust your power and control your airspeed. This will allow you to fine-tune your closure. So here we've seen the aspect of number 1's remaining stable, so all we're doing is making a power adjustment, and this will allow us to get closer or further to number 1. And then once you're both happy with your position, number 1 will call a rollout, and then this way you'll match the roll rate of number 1, and you'll finish on the same heading and airspeed. Anytime you recognise you are not stabilised during a rejoin, you should abort it and overshoot to dissipate the extra closure. On a straight rejoin, it means you've created an airspeed problem, and turning rejoins, you've created an airspeed and or an aspect problem. This will be a straight ahead overshoot, which occurs when you have too much airspeed compared to number 1, generating too high a closure, and you don't react fast enough to slow it down. So here we recognise we're going to go past him, so we're going to reduce that power. To help us start slowing down, and hopefully you don't overshoot the 3.9 line of number 1. As you start falling back, get yourself lined up on that extended 30-degree line, and then you can rejoin fingertip as normal. Now we'll look at how to overshoot during a turning rejoin. This is going to occur when you can't control the closure and you're going to be approaching number 1 in an unstabilized condition due to having his aspect too high or your airspeed too high. So the idea with this is that as we're approaching number 1, we want to try and recognize that this closure is going to be too hard to fix in the short time frame left. So we're going to level the wings, move to the outside of his turn, then pull back towards number 1, adjusting our power as necessary. This will help us dissipate the extra closure we had. Then we can make the bid back to the inside of number 1's turn, get ourselves back to being stabilized on the inside of number 1's turn. Then we can generate some more closure and get back into position to perform a regular turning rejoin. That completes the video for rejoins and overshoots in a formation. If you liked it, let me know with a like button or a comment, and don't forget to be a subscriber with that notification so that way you can see new videos as they're released.